many services out there, and they're very active in the ITF, in the open source community. They maintain a lot of projects. They contribute a lot to Janus as well. So thanks for that. And today is going to talk to us about Sylk Suite. So please, Adrian, go ahead.
Thank you, Lorenzo, for the introduction. My presence here is by no way meant to force you to replace the SIP plugin in Janus, but if you do, you have my blessing. So as David said, it's good to find a way to relate to your audience. So I was looking for an image to best represent the audience present here. So are you an SDP sinner? Did you commit this sin? If not, I'm sure there are other rooms in this venue where you can treat your illness. Thanks for coming. So how did it all start? It's always nice to look back. I'm probably one of the oldest around here. So it all started with a very, very little line, I guess. It looked very nice, innocent, and we could do VoIP with it. Well, little did we know at the time that it's going to turn into this monster that doesn't fit into a UDP payload right now. So this is the moment where 20 of you should say, hello, Adrian. So I'm the AG from AG Projects, and I'm an SDP holding. So if you want to bomb the world with SDP, you need a carrier, right? So the first incarnation of this was in '96. It was SIP protocol version 1. Well, they say that if something is not broken, don't fix it. But this one needed fixing. So basically, it was a great opportunity to go and fix it and travel all over the world, where I met interesting people like you guys. So at some point, there was a better version of it, and this is when the revolution started and the actual deployment. So the incarnation was actually this piece of software called SIP Express Router, and a lot of people probably run into it, or they wonder where does it come from, and also the eternal question, why there are so many Romanians involved with this. So the next slide is unique, because it gives you the answer. Basically, SIP Express Router, it's a project spawned by Fraunhofer Institute in Berlin. And it started, basically, this is the name, Radu Popescu Zeletin. Who was he? Of course, was born in Romania. And he was running the Mathematics and Information Technology Institute. This later got merged into Fraunhofer Institute and became a standalone unit called Focus. And they got money from the European Union, namely 2 grants. And with this money, Mr. Radu Popescu Zeletin called his old friends in Bucharest and said, hey, do you have some students available for a new cool project? And this is how the inflow of Romanians started into this industry. So my company model was SIP beyond VoIP. So the promise of SIP is that you can do everything with it, right? You can negotiate anything. So SDP was the way to express what you wanted. We always wanted to do more than VoIP from day one. So our involvement with SIP Express Router started early on, and our first contribution was Media Relay, which was the first solution that allowed distribution. We also thought about scalability from day zero. So Media Proxy was the first distributed media relay. Then we open source CDR tool, which is, as far as I know, the first ever billing software open sourced there, especially for voice over IP industry. This is the proof that everything is possible with PHP. And for those Haskell programmers, you must know that there is a choice for you. So CDR tool is went where nobody else has ever been before. It has a PHP daemon behind it. If you haven't heard about servers written in PHP, this is the one. Anyway, after 3 years or 2 years, Fraunhofer spinned off this division, and what was called IPTEL was sold. And this could have been the end of it, or at least in the open source domain. But luckily, because 2 daring individuals, ACR survived in the open source domain as OpenSer and started in 2005. Our involvement continued as we loved this idea of bringing more stuff around SIP, and especially what is SIP beyond VoIP, basically. Namely, talk about instant messaging, video, chat, file transfer, screen sharing, all these nice features, whereas everyone was busy doing, of course, VoIP deployments. And our company got involved into the SIP Simple Working Group with ITF, and we tried to provide and produce software related from those two specifications, namely OpenXCAP, which is used as a policy server for presence, and MSRP relay, which facilitates NAT traversal for non-RTP sessions, namely chat and file transfer. So these are two SIP Simple Working Group core items that we implemented on the server side. And then we know there was this split, OpenSer cracked, and then we had two variants of it, and we stayed with OpenSIPs, where we currently maintain 3 modules, and make sure that the project continues and our customers are, have a future-proof solution. So this is our core business, actually. We deploy and maintain scalable SIP infrastructures, and now with the addition of WebRTC. So our core business is to sell a platform which contains all the bits and pieces an operator may need in order to fulfill the service. We have a scalable solution, which was very ahead of its time. In 2005, we built something which was unheard of at the time, was scalable, horizontal scalability for VoIP infrastructure. And later we learned that this path was taken by everyone, including Amazon with Dynamo or Skype with Supernodes. Basically, you have a self-learning infrastructure whereby each function can be scaled indefinitely with the amount of hardware. So this product is called SIP-Door, and this is what we sell to our customers. Now, after we built all we could about servers, I wanted to build a client, because SIP is not just servers, right? So finally I secured the funds, and I found the right people, and we started building what is today called SIP Simple Client SDK. It's written in Python, so of course it restricts the audience, but this is what it is. So sipsimpleclient.org is the place where you'll find our SDK. The target platforms were desktop initially. We thought about mobile, but this is a long time ago. So basically the SDK never really made it to the mobile because of the presence of Python, which is not really well supported on the mobile platforms. Nevertheless, on that time, on the desktop, it was probably the most comprehensive SDK. Has a lot of features, is well designed. Even today, we have a lot of downloads for it. I guess people are using it. It's non-blocking. It has multi-account capability. It has all the bells and whistles that you'd like to see in a SDK. It's properly done. No server can handle our TLS stack because the servers are pretty working pretty bad with TLS nowadays. I think it's Ole's fault because he did not speak at enough conferences about it. But we did implement proper TLS in our stack. So we implemented SIP signaling properly, I think. It's tested in Japan. Believe me, it works. We even support DNS lookups, which may be shocking for a lot of you here. NAT traversal was also solved for everything, all media types, including non-RTP. That is, our SDK supported chat and file transfer using MSRP protocol, and of course it supported the NAT traversal for it. So of course, voice and video over IP. This is instant messaging and file transfer, which I dare to say we're the only ones who did it. We're crazy enough, but again, that's what we wanted. There are few users for this, but that's not our fault. We find the specification for how to do chat and file transfer in SIP pretty straightforward. Implementation was very smooth, and we implemented it. And with it also multi-party conference, so the toolkit had multi-party conferencing at day one. However, it didn't have video, and that's a general problem in SIP. It was very hard to do video, but we had audio, instant messaging, and file transfer as basic conference bridge, which was far more than any other solution out there, which was simply just audio. We did presence, a lot of it. Again, it's Ole's fault that it's not widely used today. He didn't speak enough about it at enough conferences. We built all the nice goodies developed at the SIP Simple Working Group, and all the crazy extensions and policy mechanisms. And then, well, others decided to to prove us wrong. So what's this policy about? Just turn it on and leave it on forever. No need to manage it. We had encryption at day one, which was state of the art and still is. It was both for signaling and for media. We had end-to-end encryption for RTP audio and video, and we had OTR for the MSRP chat. So you had end-to-end synchronized key exchange for basically all types of sessions. So once you start a session, you can reuse that key learning mechanism for all the other media types. Now with encryption, the question is, does it really work? So it's a hard question, does it really work? So there are test suites out there, but this is my perception if it works or not. So if the doorbell rings and two individuals with certain eye color insert themselves into your habitat, and your wife pours coffee, looks scared, and you go to Uruguay, then I think it works. So this is how the stack looks like for those who like building blocks and colors. So the client contains all the building blocks that emerged out of the SylkSimple working group, and you have them available in Python if you like the language. So I know you want to see something, but so I will go quickly through it. This is the first ever spaceship to run our software. I was not there when it was demoed at the time, but I heard it really flew. So I have to believe those who were there and tweeted from it. For those who like to live in a terminal, we built wonderful tools. You can use, you can have a fully fledged multi-account Sylk client with all the media supported by the SDK in the console. You can use it even on a Raspberry Pi or any Mac console or anything that runs a terminal. Believe me, after you use this, you don't want to leave the terminal. And then we built Blink, which is a popular SylkServer client, we think. And I know Lorenzo will kick me out, so we're here to talk about WebRTC. So how did we get involved with that? So no demos for SylkServer today. We started getting involved with this. We ended up where we are today by looking at our SDK, say, hey, it has so many nice features, we could build a server with that. And the first incarnation of this was SylkServer. If you look on our website, SylkServer.com, it looks like the SDK, but it's basically the SDK used on the server side. And if you look at the feature set, it's pretty rich. So you have a lot of capabilities there, and it's designed to be programmable in the sense that you can create your own application, of course, if you like Python. And we started looking at how can we make this more extensible and let other people as well add applications to it. The first application we made was SIP conferencing. And at that time, also ITF, SylkSimple Working Group, finished the multi-party chat RFC, which gave a very good start for having SIP beyond VoIP multi-party conferencing, namely chat and audio and file transfer. The RFCs were ready, and we were ready at the same time. So it was a very nice experience at ITF to have working code about all those crazy concepts. However, no video. And the reason is straightforward. It is very hard to do. Nobody knew how to do it. Compatibility with endpoints, it's a problem. And scalability on the server, it's a problem. So that was a no-go for SIP for many reasons. So we didn't have video for the conferencing application. Second project we did, we implemented, again, from ITF specifications at the same time, but with the same speed that the specifications were drafted. It's the stocks working group at ITF. And everything which is described in those documents, everything it's implemented in this application, which is a SIP to XMPP straightforward gateway for both signaling and media. So you have a fully fledged, completely standards compliant gateway, and it's designed for those who already have a deployment, whether XMPP based or SIP based, and you'd like to be reachable from the other side, let's say. So we designed this in a way that with no configuration whatsoever. If you already have a SIP infrastructure for a given domain, this is just a download, you start it, and boom, you are reachable from XMPP for the same domain or vice versa. And then finally, we discovered Janus because our customers wanted more functionality in their network, namely video conferencing, which is today the most interesting application. And there was no way to do that with SIP. And then after waiting so long, we decided this is how we're going to do it. So we built this WebRTC gateway with the idea of letting customers use web browsers to be able to reuse our SIP infrastructure from other type of endpoints, because SIP endpoints lack a lot of capabilities. So we built a WebRTC gateway, which allowed, again, like with XMPP, you have a transparent bridge. Every user reachable in one realm is reachable in the other realm. We build a client as an example. Again, we have an API that our customers can use to build their own clients, but we have something we call SylkClient today, which is using all the features on the server side. We have an Electron app for it, and it's also deployed on our free SIP service. I'm not sure if you're aware, but we run a free SIP service if you want to test real-time communications and want to have a SIP account. Google didn't yet deleted us, so we still appear there in the top page. So at sip2sip.info you can obtain a SIP account and test your implementation against our server. Also, now you'll be exposed to Janus as well. So there you can register a SIP account, and you can also start a conference right away, even without an account. So it's a proof that Janus works very elegantly, and our solution works elegantly with it. You can test our infrastructure with Janus behind by just entering a conference room, and then you just go there. And finally, the conference part itself, that's another application whereby we use, of course, the video room plugin, the conference plugin of Janus, and you're all familiar with this feature. I'm not going to go into it. The nice thing about it is that it's scalable with our existing infrastructure, so using the Tor model, we're able to run as many SylkServer instances, so that gives us scalability in this sense. So it worked very easy. So what is SylkSuite? Basically, it's the server side and the client side and the API that we provide as open source software, standalone software. It does work with our infrastructure for our customers, but the software is, again, fully open source, and all the code is available on GitHub. And what it gives you this power that if you care about interoperability and open standards, and your customers maybe require it, if you want to have in the same package all this, SIP, XMPP, and WebRTC, this is the toolkit that has them all and properly implemented. And you can also develop further on it. It's very easy to install it from our repositories, AG projects. The server, you will not believe this, but it's zero configuration. You just do apt-get install and everything works. Now, if you want to change stuff, you can. But the idea is that you can use it in as short time as possible without having to understand all the complexity behind. And I wanted to prevent and preempt the question that Ole might have. How about TLS certificates? Well, I'd like to dig into that. So we have a roadmap for this, which is probably aligned with Janus in general as on the server side. However, our application has more stuff than Janus. It combines together multiple elements. We have multi-party video, multi-party screen sharing, and I cannot demo this today, but we have it ready. It will be released next week, multi-party file sharing. And then we want to add text chat to this in a way that, again, makes it interoperable with existing multi-party capabilities of the SIP protocol with MSRP chat and with XMPP with MUC extension. So this work is sponsored by NLNet, which supported us a long time. We have this roadmap, and we hope to have all this ready this year. The software is available on GitHub. We also have a download folder on our website where you may find more stuff than it's available on GitHub. We maintain 30 projects in the open source domain in total. Most of them Python libraries related to a lot of stuff related to real-time communications in general, and particular things like TLS or OTR or JSON. So this is the address for where our software is available. And this concludes my presentation.
Thanks, Adrian. Do you have any question for Adrian? Then I guess it's just we are a bit ahead of time, but
we can try the conference room to see if it works.
Okay, yeah, demo time. I always like demos.
Let's see. You can try yourself if you go to sip2sip.info and you just punch Janus in the conference room name. Let's see. Is there something visible there? Oh, there is Saul. Let's see. Saul is one of those who worked on this project as well a long time ago. And so the light is bad. What's going on here? Hey, there's more people. Hey. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I'm going to demote Saul. Let's see what's going on. So again, the interface is familiar, simple to use. And again, with all the features we'll add later, it will make it really complete in the sense of all media types that you may expect from such a tool. And again, it was made with the idea of both contributing to the open source domain in this respect and also helping our customers achieve their goal to serve their customers with a complete conferencing solution that nothing else out there on the SIP world can actually properly do. Okay. So here we can share the screen or a particular application or window, and we'll have more buttons here to share files in. We hope to release next week SylkServer with file sharing function for the WebRTC room. And there we are.
Thank you, Adrian. This concludes our first series of talks. There should be some refreshments, a coffee break in the room that we had yesterday, and let's meet again in half an hour for the next talks. Thank you. No cappuccinos, I'm afraid. So. Do you need to test the audio as well? The output?
Yeah, I want to test everything. So let me.
Ale, sai dove sta quel cavo per testare l'output?